I think the fundamental premise of integration is systems that weren't designed to communicate but
Mm,
should are
mm,
brought together by the skill and effort of people like us
mm.
who make things work.
Action. So, Tom, thank you so much for joining Integration Love Story. We are really glad to have you. And as always, our first question is, can you please introduce yourself to our viewers and to our listeners?
Great. So I'm Tom Canter. I've been on and off Microsoft VTS, which is the Virtual Tech Specialist program, and that got me kicked off in the Microsoft centric integration world. But my primary focus has been integration since I came aboard Neon in 1998 and been doing integration during that time period. Um, so I've seen a lot of interesting things over the years,
Mm,
and what I do know, and a little plug for the community is, um, it's a very customer centric, but also very connected community of
mm,
people that I trust every day,
mm,
and am honored to be a member of. And
that's
they work hard in the bowels of the engine, and
mm.
they make things work,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, so
that's
I
the
double
amazing
down on
thing.
that. It's a great thing actually about our community that
Mm,
it's well connected and people trust each other. You don't feel that you cannot share your problems or your
mm,
issues, and you always get help. There
mm.
is always a hand out there you can just take if you need any help, which is amazing.
Definitely.
But that's good to hear about what's professional Tom. But if we just to look at the other side of the coin, where it's like the
Mm,
private
mhm,
Tom, what do you do outside of the integration and have it being a part of this amazing community?
mm,
Well, one, I've made connections and friends all over the world, and so that's led me to do things like in 2014, I became Scuba certified because
mhm,
Saravana decided that he wanted to have an integrate in Sydney, Australia. And I'm not going to go to Australia the first time in my life and not do something like the Great Barrier Reef.
Fair
So
enough.
Fair enough.
so I became scuba certified, advanced open water, and had the trip of my life.
Mm,
And that, that was a great thing.
mm,
I played piano since I was 7 years old.
mm,
And so one of my great comforts and my real relaxation is to play during the day.
mm,
And, unfortunately, I lost my father a year and a half ago, a normal course of events, but came into my hands my mother's music collection that
mm,
her and my father had collected. She played since she was a child. And
mm,
so I've been going through and cataloging 4,000 different songs and
mm,
music books. And it's been great just revisiting that history.
mm,
Um, uh, my wife and I love to travel, and we
mm,
use integration as an excuse to go places like
mm,
Mhm.
Hamburg and London, and like we said that.
mm,
And then, of course, I have my daughter and my grandchildren. They live up in Canada; they're Canadian,
mm,
and just going to see them. So, watch my grandson learn to play soccer, and my drawing that my other grandson does. He's very talented. So,
mm,
quite a community, and the little community we live here in downtown Seattle,
mm,
where we're very connected with our neighbors and our friends.
mm,
Last night I was at the Tuesday night I was at the baseball game in downtown Seattle with a dozen friends, and we do that occasionally also. So there's a lot of community in the small little area that I live in. So it's a beautiful little area. So
mm,
we love living here.
mm.
It is great, and you make me like wanted now to go and be a part of this community as well. Now I'm a bit jealous. I want to go to downtown Seattle and do all of this stuff.
And watch a baseball game.
Yes.
I was also
Yes.
thinking about Australia, and I've been to the Barrier Reef 2 times, but only yes, not with how do you say, not deep diving, just in the shallows. So
Snorkeling.
yeah, snorkeling. That's what's the word. Yeah, exactly. But
Mm.
that was I mean, that's the best experience in my life, I guess. 2 times I was there. We arranged another one just for that. So I want to ask you, how is it to actually do scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef?
Well, it was my first extended diving experience. It's something that I will remember for my entire life. It was just amazing to go breakfast, lunch, dinner. You're going to go dive and jump in the water, and there was so much to see with all the animal life that was there, and just being in a small group of us, we would be get connected in small groups as
Mm.
your dive buddies, and so I still have friends from that
Mm.
that I made during that time period. So it was an amazing experience. It just
Mm.
was beautiful and just calming. It just was a
Yeah,
place to go and just be as relaxed as possible. So
yeah.
we just loved it.
I was gonna ask if what I mean, piano or scuba diving. Which one is the best?
What's closer to the heart?
Yeah, what's closest to? I mean, where do you find the most relaxation?
Well, the thing is, I think here's where we go with this: piano underwater.
All right,
Okay.
there we go.
Yeah. No.
uh, they both have their own aspects.
Yeah.
I think when I play piano, I go into somewhat of a meditative state where
Mm.
I'm decoupled and my mind roams freely. When I'm
Mm.
diving, I'm very attentive to the environment and relaxed because it's beautiful and enjoyable. So I think they both have their own parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds amazing.
But let's come back from under the water now and go back to our reality and our
Absolutely.
everyday.
Yeah.
Uh, you have mentioned that you have been working, like we all know that. Also, for those who doesn't know that, you have been in like integration field
Mm.
and integration community since beginning of time of
Mm.
integration community.
Mm.
So yes, so you have been seeing it all. So what have not changed since you got into the integration field?
I think the fundamental premise of integration is systems that weren't designed to communicate but
Mm.
should are
Mm.
brought together by the skill and effort of people like us
Mm.
who make things work. The part where you look at and go, why do I have to type this in? I have it over here. Why
Mm.
is this not coming to my system automatically?
Mm.
Making parts of the system work together that should and maybe were thought through,
Mm.
but making healthcare visibility seamless
Mm.
between different applications. It has a healthcare outcome, right?
Mm.
It causes uh, the doctor to be completely aware of all of your various conditions and treatments. You bring
Mm.
that together into one place. And that was Commonwealth that we worked at.
Mm.
Did that project and things like that. So integration makes our life more seamless and more complete
Mm.
because it puts things together that maybe the developer who's very appropriately focused on solving their problem,
Mm.
uh, their business problem, doesn't see that as part of their long-term job. That's not
Yeah.
where they're at. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so again, we're so that the uh, I was in the U.S. Navy, and I was what's called a snipe, and it's a jokingly it's a human who never sees the light of day because they
Mhm.
work in the bowels of the engine and never come up topside and look around and so on and so forth. We're kind of snipes. We're in the
Mm.
bowels of the engine, digging around and going, what if I turn this wrench?
Mm.
And how will that make things better for everybody?
Yeah.
That's integration.
That's actually cool. I would like to call myself a snipe.
Yeah.
That's
You
Ahmed
need
the
to go.
snipe.
You need to go to the U.S. Navy, I guess.
So that's what I see as a commonality across this is connecting systems that aren't necessarily upfront designed to
Yeah.
connect. Yep. And
And
gosh,
I'm
that's been going on
yeah.
forever.
Yeah. I'm thinking about, well, I mean, as you say, do you have like a set of skill or one skill that you want to mention that is like, if you should learn one skill, except for technique, of course, what would that be as an integrator?
I'm going to go kind of, it's going to be an oddball one.
Mm.
Uh, the willingness to learn,
Mm.
the open mind to learn about new things and how they work,
Mm.
and dig into it and become, a micro expert. But it's kind of oxymoron. But I think that's the case. So that's it. It's you're kind of like actors. They come into a role and they learn very deeply in their part in the show and so on and so forth. And they come away and they learn a lot about that situation. They may never use it again the rest of their life.
Mm.
And as integrators, we're somewhat like that. We come in,
Mm.
we do a role. They look at us, go, "Oh, you're the data guy. Okay, I'm the data guy today. Oh, you're the web service guy. Yeah, okay, I'm the web service guy. Oh, you're just a security guy today, right?" Uh,
Yes.
and
Have too many hats.
yep,
Yeah, but
yep,
that's what makes it fun. You change job almost every day, like
Mm.
kind of like what's your job tasks every
Mm.
day. It changes
yep.
according to what you're working on,
Mm.
which is actually really good. But that's also caused a lot of mistakes, I
Yeah.
guess.
No. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
I do a lot of them. I'm not gonna hide that. I'm just gonna be leave it out there. But
Mm.
I also would like to learn from others' mistake because I know 100 ways to not do stuff.
Mm.
That's what makes me do some stuff good. So,
Yeah.
like during all of those years, do you have any memorable mistake that you have been like?
Well, I was thinking. I have one that I always harken back to. Uh, we're at a healthcare client. Might have been in Louisiana. Um, and it's the day before production go live, and we're running BizTalk at this time.
Hmm.
It's been a while.
Mm.
And one of my test engineers turned to me and goes, "I'm having trouble. I can't get this database to delete." And I said, "Oh, well, you check that box right there, and it'll force it. It'll disconnect everything and force it to delete." And he
Mhm.
does that. A few minutes later, the project manager comes wandering. And he goes, um, "I think production is down." I went, well, it just so happened, and it was not his fault. I stood over his shoulder and advised him how to do that. And fortuitously, lessons learned here.
Yeah.
I had impressed upon them and insisted that they undertake and enable all the BizTalk backups.
Yeah, and BizTalk is quite nasty when it comes to it. When it actually started, when it decided to go down, it goes down.
Mm.
Yep.
It,
So they came back 15 minutes later, and the database team had restored the backups, and we were back up, and we went live to production the next day. So
Great. From how long did it take for you to get the question before you knew what was the problem? When did you get the chills?
oh, the minute not even when he asked the question,
when he came in,
the minute he walked in the door, I went.
yeah,
Oh.
So
Yes.
on the list of troubleshooting, the
Mm.
first question you ask yourself is, what was the last thing that changed?
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good, yeah. Actually, it's a really short checklist.
Yeah.
You can just
Yeah.
have it there.
I guess that also is. I mean, it's good that you say that because that's something I think about a lot when we get errors. I mean, if we talk about to someone about errors, it's like, has anything changed in the integration?
Mm.
Then no. All right, so it might not be the integration.
No, it's
uh,
maybe the actors outside of
exactly.
the integration.
Now, here's an interesting thing you say there.
Mm.
The problem is, uh, it's not the integration,
Mm.
but usually you can tell something's wrong by the tools that are available in the integration.
Mm.
You can look at
Mm.
logs. It's all one focus. Everything comes together in that one point.
Mm.
What that leads to is, unfortunately, the belief eventually kind of underneath that the integration is the problem because it's always the one to find the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The data
Right?
guy.
Yes.
the
But yeah, and that's actually it. You
security
know what?
guy, the
Yeah.
web
Yeah,
service guy.
yeah.
Even though we are like now in a new era and the AI and all of those things that we are in 2025 now, with like things are like more advanced.
Mm.
What I miss from the Bistalk days, like yeah, we still work with Bistalk, and like you have been in Bistalk since 2004.
Yes.
What I miss there, that when something goes wrong, you go to the logs. You can find them there. You have the Windows log, you have the SQL logs, you have all of these logs just available for you.
Mm.
It's quite tricky with the newer way. It's not impossible, but it just you have to. It was more combined. I hope that soon, after all this technology now,
Mm.
when we are working, we have this combination also in our project. We are like following the data,
Mm.
but it was more like compact in the same place before.
Mm.
Gap in
Yeah,
knowledge.
Mm.
Yep.
yeah.
Well, the measure of whether something is a problem is when there's products that attempt to fill that space, and there are a
Mhm.
lot of products that are attempting to fill that space on the cloud platform, right? They're ones that claim to be able to do reporting and logging and so on and so forth. So a measure of gap and value is, let's fix that. Let's build a product that does it. So, and I think we can think of a few right off the top of our head that are trying to fill in there. And I hope I'm sure they're going to be successful. Yeah, I agree.
I hope soon they will get us this one place that you can gather all the data from the cloud in one place, and you can easily navigate it.
Mm.
And you can just, I don't want an easy error, but I just want to find the logs where things happen and go through it in an easier way.
Mm.
Like,
Yep. And so then I put on my security hat. Okay, so you have all the data in one place that everybody can look at and
Mm.
sees everything. Yep. Oh, so but
yes, I got you. Yeah, it's another challenge you are opening in here
The
now.
security guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
All
yeah.
right, then we put on the other hat, and all right, now let's get that log into one place. So I think it's
Yeah.
kind of moving there. I did see, I see a lot of in Azure. There's the advisor that's coming forward. It's giving me a lot of critical data. It's a lot to absorb. I will say that there's a lot. It's a moving space, and it's hard to stay in sync with it.
Since we already mentioned that and we are in 2025, your last period in Microsoft and this now we are agentic AI is the same. This is, I think, I don't know if it's the next big thing, because we don't know yet if it's a next big thing or it's like the MCPs or
Mm.
we don't know.
Mm.
But like you have been involved in the integration field and in the AI making. Do you see a coverage in the real world with those things that you have been working on in Microsoft, or like in the integration before that or later on?
Um, well, I do. I mean, there are a couple aspects to it. If I look at this just from uh, does it does it help me integrate things more quickly? Right?
Mm.
Mm.
I'd say absolutely. I can find resources more quickly that advise me on how to get access to certain things in systems in a way that are secure. Can I uh, you know it as a research tool?
Mm.
It's been for me very, very helpful. Absolutely. um, I think what I learned with, like, take for instance, we'll talk about Swiftmate for a minute, right?
Mm.
Um, just the thing is I stepped back after the project was done because we were just using it's an experiment. Initially, it was an experiment. Can I do XYZ by using agentic AI to make that happen? And we learned that it was doable, and there was an approach that would work that out. But then I stepped back afterwards and I said, well, I have this checklist
Mm,
or list of 20,000 different things.
mm,
And I had an expert who is recording, walking around recording. This is what needs to happen. If I didn't have agentic AI, how would I solve that problem? And it goes back to something called the expert system back in the 80s, where
Mm,
basically it searches through text and finds close matches and does things and so on and so forth to find that, narrow the list down.
mm,
And note to self, there aren't any of those that actually went and were very successful because it's a very, very, very hard problem to solve.
mm,
yeah, of course.
Attacking it from the uh, you know, knowledge base and not algorithmic, but
mm,
basically just searchy kind of
mm,
technology, right? Whereas we were able to solve it using agentic AI in a
mm,
couple of weeks,
mm,
an intractable problem that was
mm,
solved directly by agentic AI.
Like, yes, it made you shrink the period where you had to make those research.
mm,
But like
Yeah.
you mentioned now fast, I'm not gonna let that go because that was also our next question is
mm,
about you have been involved in a product or a project,
mm,
Swiftmate AI.
mm.
We're curious about what is this product or what is
Yeah,
this project,
yeah.
and what kind of problem did you actually work on? What did it solve?
Well, it's a funny story about confluence of just random things coming together.
Mm,
I had suddenly time on my hands,
mm,
Mm,
and we'll let that sit where it is.
mm,
Uh, and I live in a condominium of 10 units here in downtown Seattle, and we're all of my neighbors works at Amazon, and across the hall I have a surgeon that's been in the
mm,
industry for 20 years, and
mm,
somebody at Microsoft Legal next door to me, and so on and so forth. We're all we just all talk about things, and my neighbor said, my brother, he's in this industry doing mitigation. He started this business,
mm,
and they go
okay.
out and they fix houses after they've had a pipe burst.
mm,
Mm,
And their biggest tent in the stake in the tent uh, is how long it takes them to get an estimate to the insurance
mm,
company.
mm,
mhm.
So they go out with a clipboard,
mm,
and the guy walks around and writes a whole bunch of notes on the clipboard. And this is somebody who's a deep expert who's been in the industry for 25 years.
mm,
And then he plans on going back to the office because he's going to go write this up and then submit it to the insurance company online.
mm,
And then 30 minutes later, there's another homeowner. It's got another pipe burst because it comes in waves. And so
mm.
instead
Yes.
of going back to the office and finish that estimate, he goes to this next place because they are very desperate to get their house fixed
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. And they said sometimes it might take him a week to get around to complete that first estimate,
Mm,
right?
Okay.
Because he's every day is an interruption and it's emergency. They got to go deal with this
mm.
or so on and so forth. And they finally a week later they go out. In that time period, the homeowner, their house is damaged. They have a pipe burst. They can't get
Yeah,
it fixed until they get the insurance company to come in and approve the
Yeah.
repair.
yeah,
And so he said, "Can we shorten that time using
yeah.
AI?"
Mm,
Right?
Yeah. That sounds like the right place to
mm,
do that.
mm,
Actually, it's really interesting.
Yep. And so they gave me a list of 30 or 40,000 items that we needed to pick from
mm,
and a bunch of well-known, already completed estimates
mm,
that were based on a transcription. And then we used AI to, okay, are we writing the prompt correctly? Is it match the outcome here?
mm.
And so then we wrote an agentic process that basically fixed the prompt. So it went into an right? So I had
Mm,
an agentic AI actually recursively run through quality assurance manager who is checking the prompt. That's an agentic's role. Prompt writer expert, the resource manager, the mitigation specialist, and all these agents work together to basically iterate over the prompt and slowly improve it until we got about 90% accuracy,
Wow,
which
90% is a
is
lot.
yeah. And so we came back and went, okay, we have a prompt. So most importantly, the only thing we had, the only resources we invested was some AI time in Azure AI and server sitting on my desk, basically running the agents. So the upfront cost, it was an experiment. We didn't build a UI, we didn't build all the other resources because the core was no point in doing that if this experiment
Fail.
fails.
Yeah, of course. That makes
Right?
sense.
Yep.
But did it? Well, now it succeeded. It's out there.
Yes.
And like how, I just want to get back to, have you been using some kind of any advanced agentic? I just want to get to the core where it's actually,
Oh, yeah. The smarts, right?
yeah.
So what we're doing now is the prompt is standalone. So we have a single shot prompt that's producing around 90% accuracy, right?
Yeah.
So long term, the goal is then that will be built on and become an agentic process itself because we're going to have a feedback loop. So what's going to happen is the expert is going to come back and make corrections to the estimate before they submit it. So, oh, we missed this line item, or this one didn't belong on it, and so on and so forth. They'll tweak it. They'll submit it to insurance. Insurance will come back and give us feedback on top of that, telling us what else, and then we'll use that into a feedback loop. We'll take it back and go, okay, you're a prompt expert, and you've just got this feedback, and this prompt and the output was wrong, and so on. And this is the actual. So we'll build it into a long running agentic process, right?
That's,
So, yep. So
what did
that's
you
that's
use
the long
for what technology did you use doing that?
Foundry. And
Foundry.
oh
Foundry.
and sorry, so our process engine that's doing the heavy lifting is Logic Apps, right? With the recent changes in Logic App, just about the time this became part of that interesting part, we went to integrate in London, and they started it. The Logic App team just started announcing,
Agentic loop.
their
Yeah.
agentic. Yep. And so I'm not going to write that, right?
Yeah.
Like we're
That's really cool.
we have this. I mean, the cool thing is we got Rob, is the connector guy, and Joe, he's the veteran that owns this business that does the mitigation. I mean, their sunk cost is very, very, very low, right? To
Compared to the
get to this
value.
point. Yep.
How,
Yep.
how many, do you know approximately how much did it save them? Not in time, but like in cost, because I assume that maybe their service became better now, or like, did they measure that? The
What
feedback
was
from
the
customers?
goal? What was the goal? So their measure, let's understand here. When you're in the mitigation industry, the
Mm,
customer is focused on immediate recovery, right? So it's who gets the estimate to them first.
Yeah.
So in every scenario, they're now going out to mitigation projects, and they go out to the car. The inspector goes out to the car, comes back in with an estimate. Their
yeah,
competitors go back to the office, and maybe a day later or a week later, they come back with the estimate. So
Yeah.
it's not that it's saving them time. What it's doing is driving them more business.
Yeah.
So it's getting more business at the front end, right?
So I was just going to ask you, Tom, because I mean, we're talking about agentic AI now, and we're talking about agent loops in Logic Apps. I mean, we're going to have an event here where Kent and Ragnar actually comes here to Gothenburg, Sweden, to our office, and we invite a lot of people from our customers, and I mean, people that should be interested in agentic AI and of course agent loop. Can you tell something like to the community here in Gothenburg on why you should join this session? I mean, we will learn agentic AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the core here is if you want to accelerate your AI adoption process and also take advantage, I su- every successful AI project that I've been on has approached this from a agentic viewpoint, right? Um, and if you're hand coding that, which I've done in the past, it is a difficult process. It's
Yeah.
mind-bendingly difficult to get your brain around what are all the components doing and how are they hooked up and how are they intercommunicating and can I inject a now, oh, we need responsible AI, so we need to put that into the loop and so on and so forth. So reduce complexity, speed of adoption, um, and visibility.
Yeah.
And visibility. Going back to our talk about understanding how things are doing, right?
Yeah.
Every other process, we're just dumping stuff out to the log files, and then some
Yeah.
expert trolls through them and hopefully sees understands what's going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
So
Now we can
that's why
actually
you
see.
should go. Yeah, you want to be successful quickly, understand this, and use the right tooling.
I know because I see the Logic apps actually now, like talking about that and the AI Foundry and like these tools that out there is like we have been as integrators even since BizTalk time. People who've been working there, they will understand also. And like in Logic apps, you are creating tools. You are creating tools to move data from a system to another system. And when you put those tools in a toolbox and give it to a smart person, like what do you call it, a carpenter, this carpenter will have the best tools because you're creating those integrations. It's just tools that create that move data and do stuff for you.
Yep.
But like now you are giving those tools to this agent, which is you actually give it instructions. Yeah. So you actually suddenly can make your integrations value even more than they were before. And you need to you don't need to change a lot.
Yeah, and a lot of these situations, you it gives you the ability to do things that were impossible,
Yeah.
practically impossible before. Yes, it allows you to attack problems that were intractable.
But from a business perspective, or I mean, you don't need to. I mean, business value is of course a big thing for customers, but just from a how should you approach agentic AI if you want to get like an idea of how you should start when you actually understand agentic AI and how you should use it? How should you approach like the problem when you have agentic AI? Or how should you find the correct problem when you have this knowledge?
Well, and I think this goes back to the MVE approach. I don't know what you should do is search for what do I want it to do, right? And then say, okay, what can I do that might solve that? Then come up with an experiment that proves that out. You keep
Mm.
it lightweight, right? Just go in with just enough to say, prove the core concept. Once you've proven the core concept of, I'm going to use agentic AI to increase my SEO return on blog posting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what is the minimum experiment I can do that will validate that, right? And then design it as lightweight as possible so that you're not afraid of attempting to do this
Mm.
because the effort and the cost is low.
Yeah.
I was just talking about that before our episode. Like, because if you make it easy, you don't need to the planning, a lot of planning might make you stop trying the small steps. And when you like, you just try to, yeah, it has to be planned, and you have to measure everything in the bit. Like, if it's too small that you don't really need to worry about the cost of it, then just do it.
Mhm.
And if you keep everything in that level,
Yeah.
then you will end up with making great stuff like
Yeah.
Swiftmate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to like I worked on a project called Kyra. It was a hackathon project I worked on. Right. The underlying goal was to normalize and structure, Azure deployments. Right. Give customers a framework where they could reliably say, "Hey, if I follow this one process, my infrastructure will be secure at the end of the day." Right. And so on and so forth. Right. So I could envision where we think of these experimental approaches as there's a regular structure that you follow that says I'm going to have a process that I'm going to follow, and I'm going to do these experiments. And the thing is, at the end of the day, as a manager, I want to know that I'm making a knowledgeable decision based on outcome, right?
Yeah.
That the value I'm seeking is within reach within this idea. And so if I have every outcome has a consistent measured process that can tell me, help me, show me the money, right?
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it. Great. Yeah, it is. Show me the
Right?
money.
Show me the money. And
Kyra sounds like a fun thing to actually work on. Like, it's a quite different thing. It's a whole other thing than or Swiftmate. Swiftmate was like more a physical problem. This is more digital problem.
yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I think also there is um, cloud environments invariably they appear very complex, right? What we've done is we've moved the infrastructure into the cloud. So as the integrator, our breadth of control and understanding it broadened greatly. And I just remember Matthias's session in Hamburg, where he had
Yeah.
done the drawing of all the things on the board that all came together to make a secure environment. And I thought, who's going to do that? I mean, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I also knew stuff like Kyra, where you pick from a library of well-known standards and it's certified to be secure, right? Is a good idea. And I see this long term as kind of a repeatable pattern approach, right? How do I make a complex problem into a repeatable problem? Because that's what we do as integrators, right? Is
Yeah.
Yeah.
convert chaos into a stability, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
yep.
exactly.
All right. So Kyra was a
But it's
good
out
lead for
there
that.
now.
Go ahead.
It's out there now. Can we read more about it somewhere,
Kyra,
or
yeah,
like?
it's a public repo in GitHub. AI Labs, yeah, Microsoft Kyra GitHub, and that is a very, very, very powerful approach. But it got me thinking: how do we do that for MVE projects, right? How do we make a
Yeah.
repeatable process? Now, the year before, I worked on an MVE project during the hackathon, and that's what inspired me to become very interested in it, and that's what drove me to dive into it. But again, that's the idea. How do we make
Yeah.
you know I come in and somebody says it's like an architectural design session, right? It's going to become the
Yeah.
ADS for for AI projects, right? But coming from a different direction, it comes from can I do something, and how do I prove an experiment that fleshes that out and says yes, no, maybe, should I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, should I is a big
Yes,
question
no, man.
actually.
Yeah.
No, but like no, actually no. Should I always think about this after I already did that.
Yeah.
Should I have done that?
And-
You have done that. I
Should
don't
I?
know.
I
well,
don't
and
know.
I think
Yeah.
the answer is if you make the cost low enough that if you keep
Mm.
the scope small, go ahead and try it,
Mm.
and you can answer that question. Should I go further? I think is the question,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Should I continue down this path?
But we have one more project you have been working on. I guess that if we've been digging now, we will find more
Uh,
projects here.
Mhm.
But like there is one that's actually a lot of people are interested in, and I know shout out to like Mike
oh,
Stephenson or
yeah, yeah.
Kent,
Mm.
who are like mainly good players on that. It's golf analytics,
Well, I
something
mean,
like
I
that,
was
right?
associated with it, and I learned a lot from it, but it changed how I golf.
Mm.
Um, I'm
Mm.
Okay.
I'm not sure that there is a lot of actionable data that I mean, it requires a tremendous amount of resources to do that. Um,
Mm.
like tools like m- you typically see products like TrackMan and a bunch of the other things,
Mm.
or the Top Golf and so on and so forth. But it requires a lot of work. I will say that. So, I mean, I came home the
Mm.
week after, and we went to a virtual driving range, and I think I did 200 swings with one club, just tuning
Mm.
so it was a personal journey more than I'm sure that somebody with more resources and the ability to do it, but it was a worthwhile project, and it did change.
Mm.
My wife is going more, and because we didn't include that, but
Mm.
here in downtown Seattle, a mile from me is a indoor virtual golf range with trainers. So,
Yeah.
um, crazily, and as I'm sure it is in Gothenburg, we get a little bit of rain
Mm.
Mm.
in the winter.
Yeah.
We do. We do.
Yes.
We do. Now it's the fall, and then now it's gonna
It,
rain
yep,
like every
yep.
other day.
So I will
Yeah.
say this: I look at the data differently, but it's
Mm.
like I said, the that was definitely a project where the customer needed to experiment before they move further,
Yeah.
because the next
Yeah.
level cost levels are high, right? For taking
Yeah.
that. That's a good
Yeah.
example of, and should we?
Mm.
And I left
Yeah.
the project before that moved to completion, but I'm sure there were a lot of lessons learned from that after.
We have a lot to talk about, and I would love to have you back to talk about even more. But now I think that we should have the question that actually the name of this podcast.
Yep.
It's integration love story.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
so now we go back to when was the love spark?
The,
When did it? I mean, do you have an integration project where you actually felt like this is great? I love this.
I
I
want to
love
continue.
integration.
This is my career. This is
Yeah,
gonna be the
this is
rest
this
of
is
my life.
Well,
Like
I'm
with
gonna give a shout out to my co um, partner in crime at that time, Brian Loskin, um, which I'm sure everybody
mm,
knows and admires. Um,
yeah.
Him and I had never met, did not know each other, and I got brought in to do the ESB for the Enterprise Service Bus for BizTalk. Um,
Yeah.
and we did that at a customer in California. And I walked in the door, and I'm battling with infrastructure and trying to get SQL Server deployed, and trying to get disk SCSI adapter cards with sufficient, blah blah blah. And I'm sitting in the office next door, and Brian shouts across around the corner. He goes, "Come here, come here!" And he goes, run in there, and he goes, "Look at this, look at this." He says, "What are you looking at?" And he goes, "Here, look at this. I got ESB itineraries work." And I'm like, well, he's enjoying this. I love being with people like this. So for me, my integration love story, it's the community, the people you meet, and draws you together. And so, yeah, I just got, ping from Brian. He just went through some surgery. And
Oh
I,
yeah.
I've got, friends that I've met and I would have never met because without this community, it would be, it wouldn't be the connection. And so for me, it's the people and who are in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a new angle. Actually, it's one of the. It's not the tech that made you fall in love with integration. It's the people who work with integration.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah, that will be actually one of the, right now. It's one of the top on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But talking about people,
Yeah.
there is, since it's about people and it's about community, now we need to have a challenge question for the next guest, or like a guest that you suggest, like say you can suggest a friend that you want us to interview and say, okay, please interview this person and take with you this question.
Boy, it's kind of odd. Somebody that's new with me in the community, but has had a lot of recent impact. And so I'm going to go with Tom Banaski, who's a healthcare integrator. He's out of Chicago. And he just reached out to me recently, and just really, I was, after I left Microsoft, he just leaned in and said, "Here, let me try to help you find a job." And just really, it goes back to the people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess for Tom, what would be the challenge question? Or somebody, if you brought them in, I would say, you know, um, in the broader sense, does integration define you, or are you defining integration?
That's a really good question.
It's a great question.
Yes, I would like to answer that, but I can't. I shouldn't.
But now we need to have him on the show.
Yes, exactly.
So big
will,
shout out. Yeah.
Exactly. I will steal that question and add it to the question set
Oh.
that we have.
But we need to start with the question to Tom. No one else should answer this before Tom.
So I would say it's been a two-way street. It matches me, right?
Yes, agree 100%. That's so you.
Having said that, my question to the team today is, what's next? What are you going to do with what we did today? What's going to change about how you do things?
That's what you're asking
Oh,
us.
wow.
That was. I already have the answer, actually.
Shoot.
Because I tend sometimes to have ideas and then I try to make them like syllable, if you understand what I mean, and I try to work on them a bit so it can be fixed. Like even though I try a lot of things, but like I still try to refine things. I need to calm down a bit and focus and make it small. Just keep doing small things. I need to focus on the small things to make a bigger impact. I just need your attitude for a while, and then I will start to do those things. So that it made me think, actually, now I will go home and I have a lot of ideas. I will just scale them down a bit, and I think I will achieve way more than I imagine currently.
Yeah. And my thing is that I need to get my hands dirty with AI Foundry. Actually, I need to have. I need to spend some time to actually get my hands dirty. Try even more and start with the small things and try to just start with solving small problems. I mean, it might not even be a problem. I just find something small and try to
solve it.
So
that goes back to me learning to play piano. And I remember at 7 years old, sitting down at the bench for the first time with my music instructor. And she said, "This is middle C. This is the note you need to have. You need to know where this note is." And every single thing she taught me from that day was a small thing.
Mm.
Okay, this is a 3-note scale. This is a 5-note scale,
Mm.
right? This is an octave,
Mm.
and you build on them.
Mm.
You start from the middle C, and then you have those small notes
Yes.
next to it. It's and you build your symphony. Now we are getting like more
Yeah.
like metaphoric.
Philosophical.
I think
Yeah.
I think that should be the end. I think that should be the you round up everything, and we start where we
It
end where
was
we started. So last thing, I mean, thank you so much for having this talk with us,
Great.
Tom. It has been great. We hope to have you again,
Okay.
and yeah,
we definitely will have you again, and we hope to see you physically in Sweden, in somewhere like some of the events here or
Yeah.
somewhere here.
Well,
been great.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
I think that's
and
the plan. I think so. As soon as you guys have nice weather, you just tell me.
yes,
Quick, run, come.
we do have.
yes,
Yeah.
we will. And like as usual, it's amazing to talk to you, and it's always inspiring.
thank you.
And like you always manage to just ensure that you have been delivering the message as integrator and as a human being.
Oh,
Also, I think
thank you.
Definitely.
thank you.
Well, I
you
really
so much,
appreciate
Tom.
you asking me to be here. I was honored, I will say. So,
Thank the honor is ours.
thank
Thank
you.
you.